final panel discussion will be Growing Your Career, Finding Mentors and Resources in the Security World. Our moderator for this session is Amanda McFarlane. She is the Manager of Corporate Security and Investigations at SimCorp. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda, who's going to be our moderator. And Amanda, take it away if you want to introduce your panelists for this afternoon.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Neil. So good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to our final panel. It's going to be Growing Your Career and Finding Mentors and Resources within the Security World. So I'd like to introduce one of our first panelists, which is Sarah Miller. So Sarah Miller is a multi-award-winning security management professional with over 10 years of frontline operational and leadership experience. She currently oversees ASP Incorporated Residential and Commercial Division as the Director of Operations and Training, and is also responsible for the project management and risk assessment of all new business. She's a certified asset protection professional through ACES International and currently serves as the Vice Chair of the organization's Toronto chapter. Sarah has a diploma in police foundations, a degree in fine art, and is completing a master's of public safety and a diploma in emergency management through Wilfrid Laurier. Recently, Sarah was recognized with the inaugural Global OSPA for Outstanding Contract Security Manager and Director. Our second panelist is Kelly Wong. So Kelly Wong has earned her MA in Human Rights and Democratization from the Global Campus of Human Rights at Uppsala University. Upon graduating, she completed an internship in the International Criminal Court in the Netherlands and subsequently continued her work as an intern to consultant at UNESCO headquarters in Paris, France. She has worked at the Senate of Canada and is now working as a manager of security services at an internationally renowned engineering and project management firm headquartered in Canada. Kelly dedicates her personal time to work with students from her alumni and from all over the world to succeed in international academic and professional opportunities. She was also nominated as top 10 under 40 for the Young Canadian Professionals in the security in February of 2025 with the Canadian Security Magazine. And then our final panelist is Kadisha Michelli, and she's a dedicated security leader and security coordinator for the City of Toronto, overseeing operations at the iconic St. Lawrence Market District with over a decade of experience, and she has a Justice Studies degree from the University of Guelph Humber. She brings results-driven leadership rooted in resilience and purpose, a Canadian Security Magazine Top 10 or 40 winner as well, and a Security Industry Associate Power 100 honoree. Kadisha led the St. Lawrence Market team to national recognition as finalist for Best Security Team in Canada at the Outstanding Security Performance Awards. She champions inclusion through ACES Toronto Women in Security Committee, Newcomer Women's Services in Toronto, and the city's DEI committee. Guided by her Christian values, she leads by inspiring and empowering others. So welcome, ladies, to the panel. So I'm going to throw out a question to all three of you ladies. And the first question is, if your mentorship were like a dating app, what would your profile headline say? So Kadisha.
Can we have a little bit of fun with this?
Sure.
All right. I'm like the Beyonce of the security industry. I don't make interns, I make icons.
I love it. Sarah, you got one for us?
If I had to come up with something, I might say, you like guarding? Hit me up.
Perfect. Okay, and Kelly.
Mine would say, trust me, I'm cleared.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, next question. And again, it's going to be for everyone. So where did you find your first mentor within the security industry? And how was that experience for you? So Sarah, I'll start with you.
I've had many mentors in my career, but the very first was Brian Hamilton, who I think a lot of us here would be familiar with. He's all over the place. And I'm so grateful I bumped into him accidentally one day when I was a student at an IHOS event, and we just immediately clicked. He's been by my side since I was a frontline guard all the way up till today. I still ask for his opinion all the time because I admire him so much. So grateful that I crossed paths with him. So I don't think Brian is here, but if he was here, I'd say thank you so much for everything you've done for me.
Awesome. Kelly, I'll go to you next.
Yes, so I can't name drop, but my first mentor in the security industry, security and intelligence, was my supervisor when I was an intern at the ICC. So my first gig at the International Criminal Court, he was himself an intelligence analyst and supervisor. And when I was looking into where do I want to concentrate my work, my career, he was extremely helpful in the sense of empowering, especially in this field, in finding the right resources and connecting me with the right persons that can help propel my career, and also enabling me to then become a mentor for myself and enforcing the importance of being there for your peers and being there to lift one another up, because as the heading of this, the promotion for this event was that nobody makes it on their own in this field. So my mentor and my first supervisor emphasized that greatly, and I'm here today because of his belief in me and because of his strength, and he still continues to support me even almost a decade after I completed that experience. And I'm very appreciative, and that is the advice that I have for others as well.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks, Kelly. Kadisha?
For me, the first mentor I had in the security industry, I will name drop, was my director, Dwayne Nickel. I met him for the first time at a City of Toronto Women's Network, kind of like a speed mentoring event. And I don't believe he knew who I was, but I knew who he was because I creeped his LinkedIn a lot before the event. So I saw him at the table, I connected with him at the event, and that's how that professional relationship started. And ultimately, I did get some mentorship from him, but I really did not make the most of it. It's been one thing that I've personally regretted for a while, but ultimately, things were going on in my life, and I had the opportunity to clean that up with him. And ultimately, I'm super appreciative of his guidance since then and for all that he's poured into me and the grace that he's given me, because I know I haven't been tough, but ultimately, well-behaved women rarely make history. So, Dwayne, I see you on the call. Thank you for everything you've done for me. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Kadisha. Okay, so the next question is going to be for both Kelly and Kadisha. What resources or organizations have been most helpful in your career development? Kadisha, I'll give this one to you first.
Definitely having mentors. It didn't stop with Dwayne. I got other mentors since then. Getting connected with ASIS Women in Security, SIA, Security Industry Association, going out to those events, right? Getting out of your comfort zone. And even if you've got to go to these events alone, go, because you will find your tribe. For me, I've subscribed to Canadian Security Magazine and all of the publications out there. When I was in the assistant role in the director's office, I used to get all those magazines and I'd read through them. So those are phenomenal resources. So go out to the events. I'm going to Security Lead Her, which is in 2 weeks. I hope to see some of you ladies at that. And ISC West, I heard it earlier on the call. That was a game changer for me. It's an event that I wish I knew about sooner. And I do encourage you guys to tap into those resources because they are available for you.
And definitely have met a lot of great people through a lot of the things that you said as well. Kelly?
So definitely, I would say through the academic networks while you're a student, because you can start looking for mentors and start looking for other points of contacts and expand your network even before you enter that professional stage. And in fact, that's where you do the building blocks. So I would say definitely through the university networks, the conferences, the student-led events among your peers as well. That's where I started. And as I progressed in my career, I found other groups, some of the ones that Kadisha had mentioned, but also Women in International Security Canada, Women in Defense and Security, WIDS is a very, very useful tool as well. And as well as also putting yourself forward when you attend these conferences or networking events. That has been the most helpful resource that I found for myself is presenting yourself, exchanging your contacts, even if you're not quite sure if that contact will remain in touch. It's always a very, very good idea to extend that hand, because you never know where your path's going to be or who you're going to cross paths with. And I always tell my mentees that everyone that you speak to, all of your co-students, these are people that you have inadvertently established in your professional network, and these are all potential future colleagues, supervisors, subordinates. You never know, or even just people that you would need to to speak to get some advice or to chat with, to talk shop. So yeah.
Amanda, if I could also add that,
Yeah.
if your company offers a tuition reimbursement program, to definitely look into that, because that's been incredibly beneficial. Along with, if your company doesn't offer that, ASIS has wonderful scholarships. SIA has amazing scholarships. I've been a recipient to them. My students and my mentees have been a recipient to them. It's available out there for you. You just got to, take that action and apply to those opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. It's going to be directed at Sarah. So how do you identify potential mentors, and what qualities do you look for in them?
So funny enough, I've never gone out and said I'm going to go find a mentor, or defined for myself these are the things that I want in a mentor. It was all very much happenstance for myself. I would come across somebody randomly that I was like, oh, this person is so cool, and they know things that I don't know, and I want to know those things that I don't know. And I would just create that relationship and maintain those relationships. I have a lot of those that I still maintain and use to this day. But a common theme among them is that these are people who have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise. They're able to help me see things that I wouldn't necessarily have seen myself. They're brave enough to give me feedback that others might be too scared to give. And I would say, if your mentor tells you something that's uncomfortable, listen to it. There's a reason that they're telling it to you. And of course, any mentor and mentee, they just have to vibe. If I don't vibe with that person, it is off. And that's really what's important to me when finding a mentor.
Yeah. I hear ya. I hear ya. And I see some chat questions coming in the chat. I'm just going to save them for the end, so I don't want anyone to think that we are ignoring them. We will bring them up at the end of our questions here. So thank you, Sarah. Next one is going to be for Kelly and Kadisha again. So how do you balance the demands of your job with personal growth and development? So Kelly, why don't you lead us off?
Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda. So I have to say, one thing that I personally I tell my mentees is that people who are more experienced or further along in their careers than you, and seem that they're always just go, 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 and they're never stopping, and that they don't make mistakes, it's not that they have made less mistakes. It's because, in fact, they have made more mistakes than you. That's why they are where they are, and they seem so flawless. Because even myself in my early 20s, when I looked at senior security professionals, and I said, wow, this is amazing, director, vice president, everywhere in the news at these panels. And I would think to myself, amazing, they must have had a flawless trajectory. And that could not be further from the truth. And that's not to discourage anyone on the webinar, but it's to say that in order to find that balance, I have found that you have to learn how to prioritize. And I say learn because it is a skill. It doesn't just come. I have found sometimes in my personal experience, and I think my co-panelists might agree as well, that you sometimes put things on the back burner that you realize that are really, really important to your personal life and to your personal development. And that if you could go back in time, you would have emphasized more focus on that. And the example that I give was when I was studying in my master's degree, is that I really wish that I had enjoyed more networking with my peers. I enjoyed the city that I was living in, because it was not in my home city of Montreal. But I don't think I did myself justice in enjoying that experience and making those networks as best as I could, because I was so focused on the end prize that I lost sight for a moment in that period of my life of what was really important, which was establishing relationships, maintaining them, and being able to enjoy life a little bit. The best way that I can say to balance this is to understand that your career is something that is not a linear path. There are curves, there are ebbs and flows, there are ups and downs, and that is okay. You have to understand that that is okay. There will be points where you don't feel that you're doing so well, and maybe that might be true, but that isn't the end. So do prioritize your mental health. We hear so much about that, but it's not to sound cliche, it's so important. Prioritize your mental health, family and close ones, as well as enjoying your life, because your work is always going to be there. You are motivated. Everyone on this call is motivated. Everyone has the same ambitions. That will always be there. But the crucial things in life go by so quickly, and if you don't seize them in the moment that they come, you'll miss them, and it could be a point of regret.
Absolutely. Kadisha.
Sorry, I was so blown away by what Kelly said. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
How do you balance the demands of your job with personal growth and development?
Got it. So for me, failure is not an option. I got a little guy at home, 5-year-old, that's counting on me to win. And ultimately, for me, I've always lived from a space of abundance where I know that I can do it all, and I was doing it all. And at this point, if I can be vulnerable with you guys, I'm a recovering workaholic, and I've taken actionable steps to not work on the weekends and not work super late at night to get things done, because there's just really no finish line in this industry. The work just continues to be there. And recently I'm blown away by all the invitations to speak on panels, to attend events, and I'm being very selective and careful with what I'm saying yes to, because although I can do it all, I'm saying no, because if I say yes, it does come at a cost, and ultimately it's just being very intentional with that yes. I hope that answers.
Yeah, makes total
You got to
sense,
check out.
especially.
Got to check
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next question, which is for Sarah. Is there anyone in the industry that inspires you?
This is a good question. You can tell from my smile, I'm definitely thinking about someone, and he's actually here in the audience right now, and that's Alan Cakebread. And I think he's been impactful in a lot of people's lives, I think, including yourself as well,
Yes.
Amanda. And I could fangirl about Alan for hours, but we don't have that time. So I'll try to summarize what are some of the things that I find so inspiring about him. I think he's someone who really knows when do I need help, when do I need a hug, or when do I need a kick in the butt. And he is exceptionally good at a kick in the butt.
Yep.
I can give some examples. I was very, very early into my security career, and sometimes I would be very resistant to things because I didn't understand the value, or I was being asked to do a new security task that I'd never encountered before, and I was scared, and I'd say, "Oh, Alan, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can." Say, "Sarah, stop it right now. Put on your big girl pants. You're going to do this. You're going to be fine. I'm right there. I'm not going to let you fail," which was so valuable for me when I was first moving up in my career. I'll give an example of specifically that. He's the one who pushed me into being involved with ASIS. And initially I said, "Alan, I can't do it. I can't afford to." And he said, "Well, you can't afford not to. You are going to do it." And I quote that all the time. And he sat down and helped me figure out my finances for it, which is just above and beyond. And then finally, when I was in ASIS, he's like, "Okay, now you're a member. Now you need to get a professional designation. You're going to get your APP." And I was like, "No, Alan." And he said, "No, you're staying late after work and I'm going to help you study and you're going to get this designation. And I got it. And then as soon as I got it, he was like, okay, now you're going to get your CPP. And I was like, no, Alan. And you know what would happen next? He's like, no, you're staying late and you're going to study. And now I'm testing for it on Friday, which is Alan's fault. Thank you and no thank you at the same time. But so many of my decisions and my achievements are directly related to Alan. And it's not like I pay him or anything. I just randomly found him one day, crossed paths, and we have this fantastic relationship. And he's somewhere safe where my insecurities and my weaknesses can come out, whereas other places, you know, I might have been chastised for not knowing, you know, what is the crime triangle. Things as basic as that. I got all that from Alan, and I'm so thankful. And I think like the greatest compliment I ever get is when I'm doing something and somebody says, that sounds like something Alan would say. And I go, yes, I learned that from Alan.
I love that.
Yeah, I just love him so much. So sorry for the long answer. Yes, there is someone who definitely inspires me. Alan is my very, very high number one. So thank you, Alan.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now I have a question for all of you. Have you ever felt disconnected with your mentor? And is it appropriate to conclude a mentorship relationship? So, Kadisha, can you start us off?
Oof. I wish you gave me the inspirational person question instead of this one. Yeah. I signed up for a mentorship program, and my mentor, although I reached out to them through email to get it started on the phone, you know, multiple times, 4 months into the program, it was only a 6-month program, they were just completely out of communication. And ultimately, you know, that there was a disconnect right there. And, you know, thankfully I got an opportunity to talk to them on the ones, and they explained that they had some stuff going on in their life, which, you know, pulled them away from really, you know, being my mentor. And during that 4 months, I added so much meaning to that, right? Because I just didn't know what was going on. Could it be me? Was it something I did? I don't know, something I said. But ultimately, you know, that's was a time where I felt disconnected, and I felt it was most appropriate to conclude that because they just didn't have the capacity or the space to take me on at that time. So if you're going to sign up to be a mentor through any programs or mentee, make sure you're willing to do the work. Yeah, that's it.
So important, for sure. So important. Sarah?
I have ended things with mentors. I've ended things with mentees. Sometimes it's just not a good fit for various reasons. Maybe somebody doesn't have the right amount of time. Maybe the expectations of both aren't lining up. Maybe the values or the personalities are just too different. And I don't think there's any shame in it not working out. The important thing is that both tried. And, you know, I think it would be terrible to just continue out of, you know, shame of ending things, because it's a waste of time for both parties. If you don't feel it's right, it's not right, move on. It is totally okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly?
Yes, I mean, Sarah said it perfectly, and Kadisha as well, but my response was going to be very similar to Sarah's, is that I have been on the other end as a mentor, having to end things with the mentee, simply because it wasn't a good fit. Nothing wrong with personality or even communication or availabilities, mutual availability. It was really that I recognized that I, as the mentor, could not help them in their career or in their field that they wanted to pursue or in their ambitions. I didn't have the right or appropriate networks or connections to help them to source out what they were looking for. And as Sarah said, it's very important to identify that so that you can end it while it's still possible, to not continue out of a feeling of wrong obligation and that you are wasting each other's time, where that mentee could be focusing that time and energy on finding the right mentor for them, and where you as the mentor could be focusing that energy on another mentee or on a new mentee that you can really help. So there's no shame, there's no right or wrong in ending a mentee mentor relationship if it's just not working out.
Perfect. Thanks. Okay, Next question is going to be for everyone again. So, what advice can you give for maximizing your mentorship experience? Who wants to go first?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Something that I've learned is that it's not just all about take from your mentor. You have to contribute as well as a mentee, whether it's, establishing a schedule, being clear about what you're looking to get out of the relationship, making them excited to speak with you, taking what they've told you meaningfully and applying it. I've been, frustrated sometimes as a mentor when I tell something to a mentee and they just completely disregard it. Okay, why did you waste my time? Only, be using this time with me if you're going to take what I'm saying seriously, and contributing in that way. So not just take. That would be my number one piece of advice.
Awesome.
I'll go next.
Kelly?
Oh,
sure. Yeah, Kadish.
cool.
Go ahead.
Man, set the agenda, right? Like you're the one driving this relationship. So come into every conversation, every meeting with structure. That's what Dwayne did at our first meeting. And what's interesting is that I found that paper in a purple binder years later, and everything that I said I wanted to accomplish. What's interesting is that I actually accomplished all of these items throughout the year. So setting the agenda, writing it out, and making sure that you're, choosing things to discuss with your mentor that have, value and ROI, right? Because you need to be spending your time wisely, right? You don't want to ask a mentor for something you actually don't need support on. Ask for things that will give you ROI.
Great answer. Thanks. Kelly?
Yes, so I would say as the mentee, set the expectations with your mentor from the beginning, and also recognize that your mentor is the one who is there to help guide you and I don't want to say handhold, but help provide advice and to help provide that guidance and that reassurance and also those network of connections. So as a mentee, it would be very wise and very smart of you to be strategic in this relationship. So again, it's a combination of what Sarah and Kadisha have said. It's not just take. Also come prepared as your mentee. I've had situations where, mentees come in and just expect the mentor to be the one to completely pull all the weight. And although there is a responsibility on the mentor too, to hold some of that weight, to take their role as your mentor very seriously and, with duty, it is also a heavy responsibility placed upon the mentee to be the one to set the expectations for themselves from their mentors, to communicate that, and also to follow through. So asking those strategic questions, asking for the advice that you might need, and coming prepared to your one-on-ones and to your sessions.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very important. I agree with all you guys about being prepared for sure. Okay, so next question is for Sarah and Kelly, and it was, what type of mentorship did you find more valuable? A paid mentorship or an unpaid mentorship? So someone who's getting paid to do it or unpaid?
I can take this one first. That's all right.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I have found the unpaid ones to be, so when we're talking about unpaid mentorships or paid mentorships, just to clarify for the audience, is that there are mentors out there that you can find through either organizations or companies, or even on freelancing websites that charge a fee. That it could range from $10 to $1,000, so I've been told, and so I've been accustomed in the industry. And then those are the paid ones, of course, and the unpaid ones are the ones that, in my experience, my work on the various boards that I sit on, as well as my alma mater, are unpaid mentorships. So I have found that those ones, the unpaid ones, to be more strategic and useful and efficient with results. That's what I really like to emphasize, is that the results that come out of those, because the persons who are there, you have to remember that they're there for on a volunteer basis. They're not being paid by the university or the organization that they might be affiliated with. They're not being they're not winning any they're not being given an award or any kind of compensation for it. So they're there, and their intention is truly to help you succeed as best to their ability. And if they can't do it, I have noticed that the unpaid mentors have no issue admitting that I don't know if I'm the right one for you, but here's someone else, another unpaid mentor that can help you because they're better skilled at this, or they have a stronger network than I do. That's not to say that the paid mentorships, there's anything wrong or bad with them, because I have heard that, you know, for some people, I have paid this mentor so and so, and this is I landed this job. That's fine. We're not saying that paid mentorships are bad or evil, but it's my opinion that the unpaid one have been the ones that have really drawn a lot of good results and genuine relationships, and that you can really maintain a sense of transparency with your mentor, with your mentee as the mentor.
If I can add on to that as well, I would agree. I've had the same experience that the unpaid mentors are just a whole other level. Going back to my example with Alan, I don't pay Alan. Maybe I should. But for unpaid for paid mentorship, it also has value. I'll share an example that, you know, at my place of employment, I'm given a 1 hour weekly session with a paid mentor who is retired general. Tom Lawson used to be the commander for NORAD, used to be the chief of defense for Canada. So fantastic guy, fantastic experience. I learn a lot from him. However, he doesn't have that security background. It's military leadership. So I learn a lot from him. We go through a lot of, you know, difficult things together, and I super highly value that relationship, but still it doesn't compare to the unpaid mentors that I've had in my life.
Okay. All right. And then one final question that I'm going to throw out to all of you ladies is, what advice would you offer to women in the industry who are seeking a mentor?
I'll go first.
Sure.
If you are inspired by somebody in this industry and you like their leadership style, or they've got a skill that you'd like to develop or sharpen, just, you know, be confident and ask them to support you. Okay. I think it's super important to get out of that comfort zone and ask. On my LinkedIn, I've got a lot of guys messaging me for mentorship, and I'm thinking about charging $1,000 for mentorship programs because I'm hearing that people are charging. But I don't get a lot of girls asking or women asking. So I think it's super important to, you know, go out to these events and connect with people in the industry and just ask. Okay, doesn't hurt to ask. You might get a no, but you might get a yes. So another thing I wanted to mention is SIA has a wonderful mentorship program called Time. I know applications just closed for mentors and mentees, but there are programs out there that will match you, okay? And like you heard on the call today, if the match is not working out, feel free to end that relationship. But there are programs available out there for you, and they are free 99. So use them.
Great advice. Thanks, Kadisha. Sarah?
If I could share a piece of advice, it would be to not be hesitant to connect with men in the industry. I've encountered other women who are looking specifically for a female mentor because they're afraid of, you know, certain accusations of having a male mentor. I've never had that issue in my entire career. Men are our allies. Reach out to men. I can't help but notice that all of our examples of people that we've talked about so far have been him. Clearly, we all have a lot of male mentors in this group. Don't be afraid of them. They're our allies. Reach out. Don't just go for a female mentor because she's the same gender.
Perfect. Kelly?
Yeah, my advice is to send those cold messages or to those people. LinkedIn is a very, very, very powerful tool in this industry. It has been honestly one of the tools that I encourage to all my mentees that you can either make great connections with or even find other positions that you otherwise would have not have known existed to apply to internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, funding, all of that. So I would encourage young professionals, especially women in the industry, to send those, again, cold emails asking for even 15 minutes virtual coffee. You never know where that will take you. I've had many incidents where, people have reached out to me, do you have time to chat? We meet on Zoom, Teams, FaceTime, what have you. And then we end up blossoming into this wonderful mentee-mentor relationship. And the next thing I know, they're being accepted into the grad school of their dreams, and then onto fantastic working positions, all because someone had the time and the courage to send a message on a random afternoon, and I responded. Another thing I want to just leave everyone who would be seeking a mentor is to understand that if you don't get a response or you don't get a no, it's hard, but don't take it personally, because you never know what people are dealing with in their personal life. So it could be as simple as a time constraint. Maybe someone or the person you would like to mentor you is on a very heavy project, or they might have just started a family or a milestone in their life, and they just don't have the time to dedicate to you. It's not because they don't want to, but do not let that deter you from then seeking other people who you've read up on their profile or you're very interested in their work and that you believe or you think could be an asset to your growth.
Awesome. Amazing. So that is all our questions, but there was one question that we decided we wanted to throw out to the audience, and that was just to kind of close us off in our session. It was, what is one step that everyone here in attendance plans to take over the next month? Is it to find a mentor, to thank your mentor, or become one? Feel free to put it in the chat. And then I'm not too sure, Maria, I don't see anything coming through in the Q&A, and it looks like all of my panelists here have been very efficient in answering things.
That's correct. We don't have anything on the Q&A.
It looks like everybody is trying to find a mentor or thank a mentor. That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And looking up the resources that we talked about, very smart.
Yeah, any questions? We've got, I think, 6 minutes left here. So any questions for us?
I have a question for you, Khadisha.
For me?
Yeah.
What's up?
Where'd you get that blazer?
Girl, we gotta talk offline. Everybody's gonna be having this if I tell you here.
Oh, it's a secret. You just gatekeeping.
I'm gatekeeping. You guys are always talking about my outfits. I love it. But yeah, seriously, any questions out there? And while people are thinking of questions, I just want to say shout out to everybody from the City of Toronto Corporate Security team. Best team in Canada on the call today. I see you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for being here.
And I did see Natalie mentioning she might possibly join ACES. Definitely Sarah and myself are close to the Toronto chapter. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or...
Someone asked, you touched on free mentorship opportunities. Can you share some resources? Neil, I hope that maybe when we do a recap, we can share some resources. But guys, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, I'm always reposting these resources from SIA. Man, SIA has been such a wonderful resource for me. So guys, please get connected with SIA, get connected with ASIS, sign up for the blast from Canadian Security Magazine. They're always cascading that information from SIA and ASIS. The resources are out there.
And I would say sign up for the ASIS Toronto newsletter as well. It's free. We try to do at least one event per month, ideally. And a huge portion of those are specifically free networking events. Take advantage of those. They also usually have refreshments. So that's an extra reason to come on. You never know, you
I'm
might
sold.
need a mentor.
Any more questions here?
No questions.
The chat is chatting, but I
Someone
don't see
asking to
questions.
share some resources. Thanks, Anam, for adding that into the chat.
Yes, the Canessa shows are also good.
Mhm.
Very, very good
Sure.
for meeting new people and building new relationships.
Shout out to Alberta.
Woohoo. All right. Well, Neil, it looks like there's not much more questions, so I'll hand it back to you.
There's one question from Marion. Do you want to read that out, Amanda?
What is one habit or mindset that you dropped to get to where you are today, and how did you overcome it? Who's taken that?
I'm okay answering while others are
Okay,
thinking.
go ahead.
A bad habit
Go
is
ahead.
that I would walk into a room or be involved in a project and think I don't belong here. You know, for any number of reasons. I belonged there. Tell yourself the same thing too. You wouldn't be in this career if you didn't have something to contribute and if you didn't have value. Own that room. It took me a very long time to get over that. And now I think I belong everywhere, which is maybe a whole other problem.
All right.
I already touched on
ladies,
being a
did you-
workaholic, so ultimately is you know, make sure you guys close that laptop, you know, put that phone away, you know, don't take it to the washroom and scroll and answer emails when you're sitting down. Just try to unplug, guys. You know, it's super important to separate work from your personal life, because again, you know, if you just work, it comes at a cost to your family, your friends, and you know, the work will always be there. There's no finish line. So remember your mental health, self-care, and your peace of mind. So unplug.
Awesome. Kelly?
Oh, yes, of course. So it's actually one that is very simple, and if one of my former managers will ever watch this, he will know exactly what I'm speaking about him. And it was to stop being over apologetic. That was something that it was a very bad habit of mine that I had in my early career. And he pulled me aside once, and I thought it was under a performance review. And during the feedback, his feedback to me was, you got to stop that apologizing for minor things, because you don't recognize it, but every time you say sorry for this, sorry for not for being tardy, but for simple things, sorry for I opened the door wrong or I stepped wrong, it's very it doesn't give a good social impression, especially when you're trying to apply yourself and to make your mark in the industry. So that was one advice. It was hard to break. If anyone on this call finds themselves being an over apologizer as well, saying sorry for literally everything.
It's the Canadian in us. It's the
Yes,
Canadian
yeah.
in us, guys.
Yeah, but just it's good to, it's a Canadian in us, but in the work setting, I had to tone it down, and it was a really hard habit to break.
That's a good question.
Thanks, Kelly. And thanks, everyone. And I will really turn it over to you now, Neil.
All right. No, thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you, Sarah, Kadisha, and Kelly, with some great advice. As somebody who's been on both ends of a mentoring relationship at one point or another, I can tell you it's all good. And if you're looking for a mentor, or if you want to mentor somebody else, it's always a worthwhile experience. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. So yes, I would like to thank all of our speakers for joining us today. Of course, thank GardaWorld for being our gold sponsor. We can't do this without the support of our sponsors. So with that, I think I'll wrap it up. And I want to say thank you, everybody, once again, all the attendees, all the speakers. This is always a great event, and I always enjoy hosting it. We'll almost certainly be back next year. So stay tuned. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, and please enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you to you, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take good care.